Okay, so what's this YouTube channel about? I've been wanting to answer this question for a while, and I've been getting asked a lot, not just about this YouTube channel, but about all the offerings, evolving mindsets, and I've been putting forward. So that's what this message is for, is to help clear that up. Hi, I'm Clint Baggett. If you're new to this channel, thank you for coming by. I'm guessing you probably saw a video and then you stopped by here, and that's how you got to the channel. So thank you for visiting. I hope that you subscribe if you're interested in, what's going on. I love feedback. So, dropping notes in the comments, telling me what you like, what you don't like, even if you disagree with me, whatever. I really love the interaction. And it helps me to grow and helps me to make sure that I'm delivering the best. So with that, I'll kind of get into what's this channel about. So when I thought about putting this channel together, it was really, just this pulse. Like I felt like, man, I want to do this. I see other people doing YouTube channels, and I really enjoy some of the content that's out there. And so my pull to do the YouTube channel wasn't really for monetization or fame or anything, but just the appreciation of other content creators. There's a saying I heard a while back, it's odd that we read so many books and we write so few. And so I kind of take that as a personal challenge. I like to write. I'm working on a couple books, and also I realize I consume a lot of content through YouTube. So it just felt like I should be putting something back, giving back to the community that's giving so much to me. And doing this in YouTube so far, just the videos I've done, so, up to this point, which is just a handful, it's been amazing. I love getting on here. I love sharing. I love editing and all that kind of stuff. So I found it's really fun. So that's kind of, why there is a YouTube channel. But, what am I going to talk about on this YouTube channel? So you're probably hearing some terms: crack the code to INDIVISION, evolving mindsets, Pathfinder, and all this stuff. And to help keep it from being confusing, I just wanted to kind of bring it out that I have, 5, you might call them missions. I call them my 5 passions, right? These 5 things that seem to be always what I'm talking about, always what I'm doing and who I'm connecting with. And it's just me, right? And so in this channel, what I want to do is express those 5 passions. And maybe one day each of those will become its own channel, but for right now, it's just all together. So I hope that's okay. And that's also why I want to, do this video, to be clear about what it is that I'm doing. So my 5 passions, I'll just kind of list them out, and then I'll jump into each one a little bit. So the first passion is evolving mindsets, right? The second passion is my Pathfinder program. The third passion is the crack the code to INDIVISION. My fourth passion, which I haven't really done anything yet on the channel, is about creativity, inspiration, connecting to that deeper side of us and letting that authenticity flow out. So it's just artistic expression. And then the fifth passion is living a life that is fully expressed, right? Getting to share how I see the world and what my interests are. So I think of it as identity, interests, and introspection, right? So what am I interested in? Who am I? How do I identify myself in the world? And then how am I thinking about the world? I think these are interesting things. I like it when people share their ideas and they share their introspection and they share those things. So let me just, jump in on that. So we'll start with evolving mindsets, right? What is evolving mindsets? It's kind of the title brand. Evolving mindsets to me is about it's community, where that comes from, and what I'll be putting into this channel for content around that is around the community. But more so when, I hit a point a few years ago where I just needed some help. Like I could not get a doctor or, anybody who seemed to have the official education or certification to be able to help me understand what was going on in my life and my mind with stress, money, being a parent, like all this kind of stuff. And so I really started to, look into like meditation and mindfulness. And, I found that hidden amongst this like counterculture, like behind it, that there were some really profound truths that were backed up by science and that were very helpful. And I started to practice, different meditation techniques and mindfulness techniques and becoming aware of my body and reframing my thoughts and all this kind of stuff. And I felt an evolution in my mind, and I wanted to bring that evolution forward, and I wanted to grow in more of it. And what I found is that it was not being talked about as much years ago as it is today. So that's where the idea for Evolving Mindsets came from, was to create a community, a connection spot where it's okay to talk about fringe things. It's okay to, have your expressions. We're not here. It's not about judging the right thought from the wrong thought. It's just about sharing the thought and letting people resonate with it and find connection and find their own path, right? The find your path part, right? To whatever it is that they need the most, because we're all highly unique individuals. Our DNA, like some people, like you can have one member of a family who can be allergic to peanuts and their siblings are not. Like, we're biologically, mentally, spiritually, and completely unique, but we all share stuff too. We all have a lot of overlaps. And so sometimes in exploring those connections and the uniqueness of it, we find greater depth, right? Like the reason we have two eyes is to create depth perception. So by sharing our perspectives and sharing our thoughts, we can create depth perception. So, I think of Evolving Mindsets as kind of that enlightened, forward-thinking, leading-edge thinkers, people who want to get curious and want to explore and want to know more. And so that is the kind of content that I want to bring forward in this channel for Evolving Mindsets, those thoughts, those ideas, and opportunities to connect. I want to bring members from the community on as they're willing to, bring them into our podcast. We're going to be launching the Evolving Mindsets podcast. We called it Crack the Code for season 1. And then season 2, we're going to be calling it the Evolving Mindsets podcast. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so that's what my first passion is, evolving mindsets and creating that space. My second passion is the Pathfinder program. This one is, we're Evolving Mindsets. It's not about me. It's about the community. Pathfinder, it really is honestly about me. Like me sharing my experiences. From where I was born and how I was raised and how I lived through my life, I have been self-taught, self-motivated, self-educated, self-disciplined, and none of that was a choice. I'm not bragging. Like, it was a necessity of survival. That's what I had to do to be able to make it in life. And I hit a point where I was homeless, and then a couple years later, 10 years later, I was making a 6-figure salary. And what I learned through all of that was that there is this formula, this process, this pattern of kind of events, the way things grow and the way things develop. And if you'll reflect on these kind of 10 points along this pattern, it can help you start to understand where you're at. And it helped me make decisions faster and offload things that weren't important, so that I was always focusing my attention into what was really important and what would move me forward in the direction I wanted to go. So I could use this process to solve problems, to change my habits, to learn a new skill. And I call it the Pathfinder process. And so I'll make a video just about that, but that's what Pathfinder is. I have a club I'm opening up, like just a little community where if you're really interested in it, if the Pathfinder process and the Pathfinder content resonates with you and you want to get around with me and a bunch of other people and just be Pathfinders, solve problems, figure things out, that's what that community is for. So that's my second passion. My third passion, crack the code to INDIVISION, which I may be changing the name, just like we changed the name of the Crack the Code podcast. I haven't really, I don't feel like the name for that leadership. I've been kind of playing with the idea of like leadership evolution, to fit in with the evolving mindsets theme, but I don't know. Right now we call it Crack the Code to INDIVISION. And you know, as I said, from being homeless to making a six-figure salary, I ended up in management positions. I didn't really want to go into management, but it was the next logical step for me in my career at that time. I went into project management and then into leadership positions, and then I've been in leadership positions from then on forward. So almost 15 years of leadership. And you know, for me, being a leader wasn't about like being first, it was about going first, right? And not just going first, but also helping my team or the people I'm leading to get where they want to go. Because I feel like that's what leadership is, right? Like it's about, you know, clearing the path and opening up, you know, the way for people to move forward, whether that's a company or, you know, just your team or your project team or even just yourself. Self-leadership, right, is important too. So, you know, I learned a lot over the, you know, it's been more than a decade of being a leader. And I believe, you know, I did well as a leader. My teams did well. I was successful. I was happy. It was fun, you know, but it's also really trying and really hard. And I've had to deal with some really complicated situations too. You know, sometimes, you know, in leadership, you know, the people you're leading are living their lives. They're going through stuff. You know, they deal with deaths in their family. They deal with challenging times, you know, divorce and finances. And sometimes there's layoffs and, you know, there's a lot of things that are, I think when we step into leadership positions, we don't realize the weight and the heaviness of the responsibility that comes with it. And this is why leadership kind of breaks down, is because once we're faced with those hard problems, a lot of people pull away. They start to get scared. They start to get really protective. And that's kind of the worst thing a leader can do, is to start to isolate themselves off and or start to think about their team or staff as separate from them. It's probably the number one problem I see, is that both employees think that leaders are different and leaders think that employees are different. You're not different. You're all the same. Let me tell you, same guy that was homeless also led global infrastructure. Like you're saying, right? You have to break that down. That's why it's Crack the Code to INDIVISION. It's about breaking that barrier. So I put a program together to teach the best of what I know, the most helpful things that have helped me in building teams, changing cultures, and finding success in leadership. And that's what the Crack the Code to INDIVISION thing is. So that's my third passion. My fourth passion, which actually is kind of the one that got me here to the YouTube channel, is I started feeling in the past couple of years this need to be creative waking up in me. And I realized that, like, because of the difficulty of my experience, like always being in survival mode, I had really suppressed all creative aspects of myself, right? I didn't draw. I love music. I love drawing. I love art. I love photography. I love all of these creative things. I'm very passionate about them. But I was spending like none whatsoever doing any of those things. And so this is an opportunity for me to be creatively expressive, and I want to do that. Like sometimes, so like there might be random things. Sometimes I just get random ideas and I want to write a story. I wrote a story once about what it would be like to experience life as a painting hanging on a wall. You know, like those things are fun to me. They're, you know, creative and perspective. So, you know, that stuff will come out. There will become I like to call it the Catalyst Creative, right? That will probably be a channel. So watch out for that. If you see some really weird stuff, that's just me being creative, right? And then the fifth passion, the final one I'll talk about, and then I'll kind of wrap this up. I like to keep these videos 15 minutes. I don't really want to hold people longer than that. But is just living a fully expressed life, you know, getting to talk about who I am and spirituality, introspection, ideas, opinions, and yeah, just being fully authentic and living a fully expressed life. And so that's kind of the fifth passion that I plan to bring out in here. So those are the things that you will find in this, and I hope that you appreciate and enjoy them. I would, again, love your feedback, your thoughts, your support, definitely. You know, a like, a subscribe, all those things are helpful. I also really don't like asking for that stuff in the videos. It feels like I'm begging. So this might be the last time I ever ask someone to say, hey, will you please like, subscribe, or do all that stuff. It just, I feel like if you're enjoying this, you're going to do that stuff anyway. So anyways, it's getting windy out here. I'm going to get going. Here's to our future, and thank you for being with me on this journey. There's great love for you here, and much love.
Gonna find your path, gonna lead the way, stride through the storm, never go astray. Always the truth and let your spirit roar. You're a force of nature, crash upon the shore.